Greetings Math 10 students. This video is actually by request. This morning I had two students literally within 10 minutes of each other send me an email asking to go over the same kind of question in HOX. So if you didn't know this, in the HOX software when you're in the practice, every question will have a little button in the lower left that says send to instructor, and that sends me a screenshot of your question, and I am more than happy to get those. I love getting those. I'm happy to answer your questions about HOX, so please feel free to click that if you're stuck on a HOX question. And two completely different students did this morning, sent me two of the same kind of question, so I figured there's probably a lot of people who need help with this. So let's take a look at this type of question. This is from HOX section 2.5, as you can see, and it's multiplying three fractions together. It says find the product, and it's giving me three fractions to multiply together. By the way, if you have a hard time seeing this on your computer screen, you might want to try to put YouTube in full screen mode, and then in the bottom go to the settings if you can, and set the video quality as high as it can possibly go. That'll make it a little bit easier to see the letters and everything. So this is kind of an impromptu video. Hopefully the quality turns out okay. So I can just straight up multiply across the top and bottom here. It is going to be a royal pain to reduce to lowest terms in the end though. So I prefer to do the cross cancel method. And one thing that people get confused with cross canceling is they don't realize that you can just keep canceling out factors on the top and the bottom. Now the textbook has a method where they completely factor the top and completely factor the bottom, and HOX will do that as well. I think that's kind of overkill. You don't need to do that. Just remember that if you look at a pair of terms, as long as one is in the numerator and one is the denominator, if they have a common factor, go ahead and divide by that common factor. So right off the bat for this one, I know that I can reduce a fraction to lowest terms always. That's always something you can do. And when I look at 50 over 90, I think, well, there's something I can divide both of those by, right? They both end in 0, which means I can divide them by 10. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by 10. I'm going to divide 50 by 10. 50 divided by 10 gives me a 5. I'm going to write the result next to it. And I'm going to divide 90 by 10. 90 divided by 10 gives me a 9. And I'll go ahead and write the result next to it. Again, I'm just dividing by the same common factor to a number on the top and a number on the bottom. I'm not writing 10. I'm writing what the result is after I divided by 10. Now, it's kind of hard to see what other common factors might be. I can take a look at some of these numbers. I see the 5 is still up here. Nothing on the bottom is a multiple of 5 anymore, though. So the only other numerator that I have to work with is this 46. So I can try to think about that 46. What can I divide it by? Well, it's even, so I can divide it by 2. So I'll try to break it down. 46 divided by 2, if you punch that in your calculator, it will tell you that it's 23. So this is 2 times 23. That's what that 46 is. Well, look at the denominators. Nothing's a multiple of 2. Any multiple of 2 will end in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So nothing down there is even. But whoa, look at that. I've got another 23. So that means I can divide 46 and 23 by 23. Now, if you didn't see that, you can try to divide the guys on the bottom. 9 is 3 times 3. 3 is a prime number, and 23 is also a prime number. So you can try to divide all the numbers on top by 3 and 23 to see what will work. But breaking the 46 down, I think, was the easiest way to see that. So I can divide 46 by 23. 46 divided by 23 will leave me with a 2, and I can divide 23 by 23. Any number can be divided by itself. That leaves me with a 1. And now I just multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. So I've got my 5 times my 5. That gives me 25 times 2. Should give me 50 on top. So I'll have 50 up here. And then downstairs, I see my 9 times my 3. Or excuse me, 9 times the 1 first, which doesn't do anything, and then times the 3. So that'll be 27 on the bottom. So 50 over 27 should be our final answer there. All right, again, you're not necessarily expected to know your 23 times tables, but you're looking for things that you could possibly cancel. So what are the hints? Well, I see that 23 is pretty big. I can't break it down any further, but I could try to divide the top and bottom by 23. The 46 is also pretty big, so I try to break it down. When I divide it by 2, I get 23 left over, so that lets me know, oh, 23 and 2 are both numbers that are in play. All right, this is a similar example sent from a different student that has a similar big prime factor in there that isn't easy to see at first, but that you can see eventually once you've broken things down. And this one has a lot of reducing that we can do here. So let's take a look. Again, I try to start thinking vertically first. If you see a fraction that's not in lowest terms, you can go ahead and reduce it, right? 28 over 64 ends in 8, ends in 4. Oh, those are both even. And I can always divide an even number, anything that ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. I can divide it by 2 at least. And if you push a little bit harder, you might realize I can also divide both of those by 4. 28 divided by 4 is going to give me a 7, and 64 divided by 4 is going to give me an 16. I don't know why I put 8 there. 8 times 8 is 64. All right, moving too fast. So 16 here. All right, so I divided by 4 on the top and bottom. All right, so that's a little bit of reducing right there. So next up, I am looking at what factors I have left. On the top, I've got a 7, an 11, and a 38. Well, 7 and 11 are both prime numbers, so I can try to say, hey, can any of those be divided into anything in the denominator? Doesn't look like it. 7 doesn't go into 16, 19, or 9. 11 doesn't go into 16, 19, or 9, not evenly. So I'm going to look at that 38 again. And 38, what can I possibly divide that by? If you're not sure, just try hitting it with stuff. It is even, right? It ends in an 8, so I can try dividing it by 2. And lo and behold, when you divide it by 2, you see that, oh, that 38 is 2 times 19. Right? And it's similar to the previous one. You get to start to see that Hawks kind of has its patterns here, right? That means I can cancel out that 19 from the bottom. If you didn't see that, you'd look at the numbers downstairs, the 9, and think, can I divide anything on top by 9? Try it. Doesn't work. 19 is also prime. I can't break it down, so can I divide anything on the top by 19? And then 16 is a bunch of 2's multiplied together, so is anything on the top even? Can I divide by 2? Well, yeah, you can. You can divide the 38 by 2, which is what we'll do next. So we can cancel the 19 with the 38 and the 16 with the 38. That's why I said there was more canceling that we could do with this particular one. So let's actually do the 16 and the 38 first. Let's cancel those. 38 divided by 2, like I said, is 19. And 16 divided by 2 is 8. And if you didn't realize you can reach all the way across like that when canceling, yep, you can. Any number on the top can cancel with any number on the bottom. And last but not least, let's do these 19s. 19 divided by 19 is 1, and 19 divided by 19 is also 1. So now we can just go ahead and multiply straight across the tops. 7 times 11 times 1 will give me 77. And then 8 times 9 is going to give me 72. So again, the trick with these, you don't necessarily have to break every number down completely. You can look for reducing, you can look for common factors that you're familiar with, like again, look for those even numbers. Anything that ends in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, you can divide by 2. Might be able to do 4. And you don't necessarily have to do numbers that are immediately diagonal. You can reach all the way across a fraction like we did here, or all the way across all 3 fractions, or you can always reduce vertically, top and bottom. Just look for common factors that you can divide that top and bottom by, and you'll eventually get all of them. And if you don't, just double check your final answer. Check to see if there's anything you can divide the top and bottom by to see if it's in lowest terms. This is improper, and that's fine. You can leave it improper, but you might want to just double check at the end. Can I divide by any prime numbers like 2, 3, 5, 7, 11? On the top and bottom. It has to be the same prime number on the top and bottom. And if not, it's in lowest terms. All right, hopefully this video was helpful. Thank you very much for watching.